If you play a modern FPS, chances are it has one of two things: sprint or abilities. These are forms of free mobility where you press a button and you become more mobile. This is popular for a reason. People like the feeling of going faster, so developers are inclined to add mechanics to enable this. Hence the prevalence of sprint and character abilities that enable mobility. It's the same reason why the Call of Duty community is angry about the removal of slide canceling, as it removes some of the mobility people want. However, there has been pushback against this, primarily in the Halo community. There are many arguments for these techniques, with the defenders mainly talking about enhanced mobility and a potential increase for the skill ceiling, with people against sprint mainly using the points of how maps are stretched out and the prevalence of running away. However, I'm going to say something different. The addition of free mobility in a game inherently reduces the potential for skillful positioning and interesting map design. But first, let's talk about chess. You already know how chess works, but I'd like to go into the details and fundamentals of winning chess. Every piece moves in the exact same way. The bishop moves diagonally, the knight moves in an L shape, and the queen can go basically anywhere. Chess is all about positioning your pieces and managing resources, and keeping track of where enemies' pieces are and where they can go. You want to know which games also involve positioning and keeping track of where the enemy can go next? Classic Halo, Team Fortress 2, Counter-Strike, and Quake. What do all these games have in common? They have set movement speeds. You can reliably pinpoint where an enemy can go based on previous habits, the current state of the match, and the fact that you know how fast they move. It's like Sun Tzu said, know your enemy and know yourself, and you need not fear the result of 1,000 battles. But what happens when you give the players the ability to move faster on a dime? To start with an example of how adding free mobility can hurt the positioning game, let's look at Halo, a game series that started out by heavily favoring players with good positioning. When Bungie decided to send Halo off with Reach, they added armor abilities, two of those being a jetpack and sprint. These two abilities hurt the game in two opposite ways. The jetpack completely messed up the flow of vertical maps, as no longer you had to climb up to get to power positions or power ups that were placed high. Just fly up and don't get shot. And while the jetpack messed up the vertical positioning game, sprint had a negative effect on the horizontal positioning game. You couldn't shoot while sprinting, and it was only used for running away, getting to the front lines faster, or getting cheap melee kills. Timing the arrival of enemies was also no longer a thing, as people could speed up on a dime. Halo 4 would continue in this direction, hence the comical player drop, and 343 continues to add sprint in Halo Infinite, which still messes with the positioning game. A common argument justifying sprint in Halo Infinite is, it's only a 10% increase, it doesn't change anything, which I would like to counter by saying it's still a significant speed boost. Compare Halo 3's competitive matches against Halo Infinite's, and the difference is night and day. One is based on positioning, and the other is based on maneuvering. Player tracking isn't the only thing affected by this free mobility. The importance of power positions is also heavily reduced. In older games, map design was much more complex. Rather than a slew of similar 3-lane maps, you would have variation in design and elevation. With this had the emergence of power positions. Places on the map that were hard to hold would provide great reward to those good enough to keep the location secured. Examples of these positions would be the building on the second point of Badwater, the BR Tower on Lockout, and this hill on Valhalla. Once again, Sun Tzu stresses the importance of high ground in The Art of War, as he has written, all armies prefer high ground to low. However, modern games seem to lack these power positions, and it's not just because the map designers aren't as creative, although that can be a factor. The reason is that the game's mechanics don't really allow for it. When anyone can quickly rush a position, it becomes irrelevant. The high grounds in Overwatch are all catwalks because that's the only way a high ground can have any real value. If it was a hill or tower with multiple ways to access it, that's basically irrelevant. Sprint and other mechanics usually attached to it, like clamber and slide, also result in power positions being removed, but for a different reason. With all the mobility, maps have to be designed around the speed of sprint, meaning maps are stretched for regular combat. It also must have a bunch of cover and less sightlines to make sure you're not getting constantly shot, therefore resulting in 3-lane map design. It's hard to fit effective high grounds in a map with 3 lanes. Once again, cutting power positions. One of the arguments for sprint and advanced mobility is that speeds of the game. However, in a lot of cases, this advanced mobility can end up slowing it down by making it easier to escape a fight. When sprint cannot be used effectively for offense, then it will be used defensively instead. This is less prominent in games with low times to kill, as you can kill someone faster than they can run away. However, it becomes very apparent in Halo, where you can run away faster than they can kill you at the walking speed. You can't shoot while running, so chasing down the sprinting player is a fruitless effort. Halo games after 4 have tried to solve this by adding certain limitations, with Halo 5 slowing you down more and making it impossible to regenerate shields while sprinting, and Infinite making the sprint a smaller boost. These features reduce the problem, but still they are nonetheless. With all these concessions to sprint, you might as well remove it. This is also a problem in ability-based games. In Valorant, Jet was once able to shoot someone at the op and then immediately dash away to avoid getting traded. This was nerfed by forcing you to trade right beforehand, but it's still possible, just not with the op. Overwatch is filled with abilities that allow you to easily exit fights. There are the obvious abilities that straight up turn you invincible, but other movement abilities do the job the same. Observe this clip where I teleported out of the situation I should have died at. This is further exasperated by the fact that all teams will have 2 healers, so if you chase them down to finish the job, surprise surprise, you have to start all over. Once again, you can easily avoid consequences for bad positioning. Now it may seem I completely hate all of this, but these features have their place. Sprint is necessary in military simulator games like Call of Duty or especially Battlefield. These games want to try to replicate a military setting, albeit a dramatized and less realistic one, but they clearly have a goal of having some sort of authenticity. As for abilities, a hero show off abilities might as well not be worth playing. Besides, some movement abilities aren't too damaging at all. One that springs to mind is Raze's Satchel Charge, which was the whole reason I even tried the game out in the first place. Blast jumping in general is also fine, as it sacrifices important resources to attain better mobility and potentially get you to a better position. All I'm saying is that before we add hero shooter mechanics or sprint to every game, we should stop and ask, does this fit in the game? So next time you see sprint pointedly inserted into a game, call it out. If you want to go fast, just turn up the movement speed. And to anyone that went this far, call out anyone in the comment section that clearly did not watch the full video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.